We're back, and with news. So while we were gone, Xbox loses their big launch title, but they may make online free for all. Also, what have we been playing? All this and more on another episode of WumpaTime. Hey everyone, I'm back. It's me, Shimp. Hello, how are you? I love you all. And I am back with my favorite boy.
The favorite boy, is me. It's Canadian guy. Hey, oh my gosh, I'm so happy to be back.
Oh, it's been so long.
Oh,
It's been a month.
Don't worry, this wasn't a hiatus that we wanted to go on.
No, it was forced.
It was kind of forced. I was moving, and it's been an absolute crap show for the past 4 months to get moved into this place, and we're finally here now. I'm happy. I'm a lot less stressed. I'm not as freaked out. So now we can get back to WumpaTime and get back
now
to...
we can start.
Now we can get back to using Stadia as a piñata,
Don't worry, we have a new pinata now, but I'm looking forward to all the people who are like going to get the notification. They're going to be like, oh my god, WumpaTime? So let's start with our new punching bag, which is probably going to be here to stay for the foreseeable future for all these games. Good old EA Sports. Now, listen here. I'm not a sports guy. I don't play the sports games.
No,
you know what I am? I'm a graphic designer type of guy. You know, I know how to make graphics. I know how to make stuff look good. You know who don't know how to make stuff look good? That's right, EA. Have you seen all of the new EA Sports box art?
Oh man, and yes, I have.
Yes.
And here's the thing, and coming from my end, I thought it was just the FIFA box at first.
Me too.
I thought it was just FIFA. I thought, wow, this FIFA box looks terrible. They probably won't make that same mistake on every other box.
Real quick, what other sports games does EA do? They do NBA Live, right?
They do their NBA Live.
21?
I think it's 2K. I think 2K does the NBA games.
Well, I know EA had one. I think EA just stopped with the NBA Live.
Yeah,
games.
I think 2K got the license for that. So I know they have EA Madden, which is football, hockey, baseball, and FIFA.
Oh no. Oh, I'm sorry. I just saw the new Madden box art. Yeah, it's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
No.
So if you guys haven't seen it yet, some of you might be confused as to why we're talking about this. So basically, whoever came up with, oh gosh, the ship just sent me the image. Oh my gosh. So basically what these case arts look like, if you want to go look it up, I think the prime example, I think the FIFA is the worst one though. It's still the worst. Is that it literally looks like, you ever see those Facebook collage makers where you just jam a bunch of images into a machine and it just barfs up an image with all the images.
It's like the ones you'd use, like it's like an app you download to get like a cool Instagram collage.
Yeah, but then you regret it because it doesn't look that cool
essentially, for everyone who's driving or listening and who doesn't have access to a computer, imagine a PS4 box, and in the middle it says UFC 4, and there is in the center of the box, there's a little square with two people on it, and then around the little square are a bunch of other squares with different pictures in them, and there's a bunch of white space, there's a bunch of dead space, and none of it matches, none of it lines up, and this is the epitome of that meme that's graphic design is my passion.
Yeah, dude. You know what it looks like? Legit, you know what? I just realized this looks like the beginner Photoshop that you do, like
you're right,
for like school, where they're like, "Hey,
fix
when you're
this."
No, when you're in your communications class and you have to make like a title page, and it's the first time you've ever opened up Photoshop, and you're just dropping JPEGs in."
Not like super compressed, like you're not even getting like you go to Google Images and you don't wait for it to load, so you just get the gross compressed version.
These case arts literally look like a 4-year-old put these together. They are awful.
And not to mention, so I will commend them for one thing. They did get rid of the giant, gross, optimized for Series X sticker that we saw.
Oh, gosh.
That was on the Far Cry 6 box art. But, so the thing is, this is the first Xbox game that has any mention of Series X on it. It says on the top left, it says Xbox Series X and Xbox One. But the very top still says Xbox One. So like we said last episode, a month ago, when the Xbox Series X comes out, all future games that are multi-gen for Xbox One and Series X, the box will just say Xbox. They're not releasing two versions. It's going to be one disc that you pop the disc into that specific console and then you download that version.
Right.
So right now, UFC 4 just says Xbox One on the top because the Series X isn't out.
Right.
But it doesn't change the fact that it's still ugly.
Yeah, oh no, it's still ugly as sin. The FIFA one, I remember I did a whole rant on this on my Spyro live stream where I literally just went off because honestly, people were saying, "Hey, did you see the bad FIFA case art?"
Oh yeah, that's way worse, dude. I think the fact that it's more colorful.
the FIFA.
I'm sorry.
FIFA is the worst one. There's the UFC, man. I mean, yeah, that's basically basically.
Yeah.
That's it's terrible. It's awful.
It's so bad.
And I don't know what EA Sports was thinking. I mean,
I didn't mind either,
I didn't mind what they were doing. Like, I don't understand what it is that they're trying to go for because I mean, the originals were fine. You get a player on the front doing their player things with their sport ball, looking off in the distance, and then they just rotate to the different player every year. Cool. It was selling.
If you're in the car and you're on your way to the store and you get to the store, go to the gaming section and look for UFC 4 if you don't believe us, because it's out and you can see for yourself in person how absolutely horrid this is.
And the worst part is it gets worse in the UFC ones. That's what's worse is that it gets bad. It's really bad. Yeah. Speaking of bad, though, we're gonna move on from case art to what would be a really good whole bag of
just art. The whole thing is art. That this whole thing happened in general is art.
Yeah. Okay. So this piece of news comes. It's a head scratcher, and okay. Let's just state the facts of what's going on, and then we can go from there because it is weird. So right now, Fortnite and Apple are at odds. They are going against each other. So Epic Games, the creators of Fortnite, is trying to have a lawsuit against Apple. Now, I wanted to get your take on this too, because I feel like that right now there's a narrative that's being pushed that I feel like is kind of oblivious. So we'll declare what happens and then what has happened, and then we will discuss. So basically, what's happening was that Epic Games, when you put an app on the iOS, the App Store, 30% of all income goes to Apple. So that includes microtransactions, in-app purchases. When you go to buy the app itself, whatever, 30% goes to Apple, right? Well, what had happened was that Fortnite created a way where when you hopped on, they're like, hey, if you want to buy with your iTunes card or continue paying the way you're doing it now, it's $10, or you could pay directly to Epic and it's $7.
Oh, okay. I thought it was something completely different. I thought that they just lowered the price of V-Bucks and lowered the share that Apple got.
Well, no. What happened was that they got the same. What happens is Epic would get the same amount because they said you can pay the $10, which the 30% cut would go to Apple, and that $7 would go to Epic, or you could pay directly to the Epic servers directly, and you do the workaround from Apple. And Apple said, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't have your app being able to accept income to a different account. Therefore, they banned Fortnite off all iOS products. Now, Epic then turned around and said that they're suing Fortnite. And the reason, Epic is around suing Apple. And the reason why is that they're saying that there are other companies that are getting leeway for that 30%. One of them being Amazon. Amazon doesn't have to pay the full 30% to Apple. And there's other companies as well that don't have to pay the 30%, yet Fortnite has to, and everybody has to. And basically what Tim Sweeney, the CEO of Fortnite, or the CEO of Epic, is basically saying, hey, sorry if I get Epic and Fortnite kind of like crossed over.
Yeah.
You guys know what I'm trying to say. Is that basically he was saying that Apple should lower their percentages because it's literally killing the smaller developers because of them taking a 30% share of all income. So,
Yeah.
and what's happening is they've started this hashtag going hashtag free Fortnite, hashtag free Fortnite from Apple's grasps and stuff like that. And everyone's saying how greedy Apple is, et cetera, et cetera. Now, this is a whole situation. So from what you have heard from me, what do you think?
So from what I already know and from what you've told me, I think it's like, yes, they are in their rights to say, hey, think of the little guys, think of what you're doing to the little guys. But in terms of Epic versus Fortnite and the whole free Fortnite thing and the quick CGI ads they put out, it feels like they planned this because those CGI trailers and ads are put out super fast.
Yeah.
They're like, there is no way that they had that ready or if they just made that in a day. But it just feels like two spoiled rich kids kind of fighting like, Dad, Apple said this, well, Epic said this.
Yeah.
And you have these fan bases for Fortnite and the fan bases for Apple, I guess, fighting each other like, no, Epic's in the right, no, Apple's in the right, when in reality, who cares? They're $2 billion companies just fighting each other. I just read that I think Fortnite's back on the App Store. Is that right?
I don't know. Apparently Apple said that they can, once they fix their app, it's more like, what's it called, compliant.
Okay. No, I'm sorry. It was on I think Google, because Google did the same thing. They took it off and they put it back on. I think, I don't remember.
Yeah.
But essentially, like you said, Epic is suing Apple because of all this stuff. And then Apple CEO, I just read, turned around and said that they wanted, they're like, well, Epic said they wanted special treatment. So why are you getting mad at us? It's all silly. It's all stupid. It's just Fortnite. I get it. People buy V-Bucks all the time through the app, so that gets a good chunk of change to Apple. So it's like, oh, our most profitable app on the store isn't giving us any profit, so let's just kick it off because there's no reason the developers should make all the money. That's stupid. I don't care, honestly. They're just being children. Let them be children. I don't think we should give this any attention, so companies will stop doing. Because remember, I don't even know if we did WumpaTime when this happened, but when the whole Sony versus Disney thing about Spider-Man and the third movie may or may not happening, that was all planned. That wasn't real. It just got a reaction out of people, and I really hate that mentality. It's very toxic. It's very annoying because this is going to get settled, and it did get settled. And look, Sony has more Spider-Man stuff on the PS5. Wow, you really did damage their reputation. This is just the same. This is the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Except there's a lawsuit.
Yeah. So the big thing for me in my stance is that a lot of people were turning around saying that, oh yeah, Epic is for the little guy, and I'm like, hold on, hold the phone, just stop for a second, hold on. Here's the thing, is that I don't like Apple as a company. I'm going to state that right up front. I don't. I think they charge way too much for their products. And this is coming from someone who was an Apple user. I use the iPhone 3G all the way up to the 6. So that's
dedication.
Yeah, that's dedication. And I switched over to Android, and I never have looked back. I've never even considered.
Attaboy.
Yeah, I haven't even considered picking up an iPhone. I remember my mom was still on an iPhone for a bit, and I picked it up, and I was just like, wow, this is different. But the point is that Apple charges way too much for their products. I don't think that anybody can really disagree with me. I mean, do you remember the computer wheels?
The $1,000 cheese grater. Oh, the wheels. No.
Oh,
I was talking about the cheese grater.
Oh, there's a $2,000 cheese grater. Do you remember the Apple wheels?
I remember the wheels. How much were the wheels?
The wheels were, I gotta double check this because this Apple,
I think they were like $400 for a set of wheels.
It was Apple Wheels Mac Pro. It was, what was it? Let me see here. So in Canadian dollars, it was, the kit. The Apple Mac Pro wheel kit in Canadian dollars was $869
Oh.
for four
God.
wheels.
Oh, no, thank you.
And I was like, there's got to be more to it. There's got to be more. Come on. Here's what's in the box. I'm looking at the website right now. The official Apple site is 4 wheels for Mac Pro, installation guide, 1/4 inch to 4mm hex bit. That's it. That's literally it.
Awesome.
Right? And I wanted to vomit. And they also, they're in the American prices, they're $700.
Yeah, that's some good wheels, dude. I could put that in my car.
Yeah, $700, and it is. I could not believe those prices. So yeah, Apple has a problem. However, here's the thing though, is that what I didn't understand is that they're turning around and they're attacking Apple when the Google Play Store did the exact same thing. And I'm not hearing tiddly boo about it at all. About
the thing
attacking
is,
Google.
I don't think Fortnite was on the App Store on the Play Store, because for Android you have to download the game through Fortnite's website. You have to download the APK directly through Fortnite.
But no, you can get it on the Google Play Store. No, you can get Fortnite in the Google Play Store.
Was it?
Yeah.
Then why? I remember like in the early days of Fortnite, they were telling you to go to the website.
Yeah, maybe in the early days, but like now, but this is where I'm upset, where people are literally losing their marbles and screaming about how Epic is trying to make things consumer friendly against Apple, when Google Play, and to my knowledge, charges the exact same percentage, 30% for the Google Play Store. So why are we not attacking Google? Like,
that's more of me saying that this is planned. But
yeah,
the thing that's telling me that it's not planned is because it's there's a lawsuit in place. That's kind of the only thing. But yeah, I'm looking at the Play Store and I don't see Fortnite at all. But you can still download the APK from the website.
Oh yeah, but that's Android, right? You can download. Stuff.
Android.
You can't get it through the Google Play Store now, but you can download the APK because that's Android. Apple, can't do that.
Who would have thought?
Exactly. So, but moving on from that, we got a little bit more information about the PlayStation 5 and its controller, right?
Oh yes. So I'm actually, I like at first I thought this was like just, oh, this is neat, but they've come out and talked a little bit more about the PS5's the DualSense controller, specifically the haptic feedback.
Yes.
And a lot of developers came out and talked about certain features that you can do with it. So essentially what's going on is PS5, the DualSense has essentially their version of HD Rumble, which is what the Joy-Cons have. And by the way, HD Rumble still blows my mind with like 1-2 switch and the balls and the crate mini game. It still blows my mind that it feels like that. But it looks like PS5 is going to have something similar to it. And so basically they're taking it to a new level where you can feel just everything. For example, one of the notable examples that they gave was Insomniac was talking about Spider-Man Miles Morales, and whenever you're charging up I think he calls it a Venom Strike, where it charges from his left side to his right side or something like that. I could be wrong, but essentially what happens is when you charge it up from the left to the right, you feel it in the controller. You feel it charging up on the left side of the controller. It travels through and then it starts vibrating harder on the right side, and then whenever you let it go, you feel a shockwave through the controller. That's cool. That's insane.
Yeah.
And now imagine like feeling spider sense through your hands.
Or dude, imagine web slinging.
Oh, dude, yes. So to highlight more features that aren't Spider-Man, but God, I can't stop thinking about Spider-Man. So essentially, another one was again Insomniac. They were talking about Ratchet and Clank and how Ratchet has this gun that's basically a double-barreled shotgun or something like that. And if you push it, it fires, I think, like 1 round or 2 rounds or something. But the trigger is like, the trigger reacts in game to what it would actually be like as a real gun. So you push it and you feel it pushing back. So you tap it and it does one shot, but if you push it all the way, if you go against the friction and push it all the way down, you do a bigger blast. So think of Mario Sunshine with its analog triggers, where if you quickly tap it, it does a little spray, but if you gently push it, it does a stream. Like Mario Sunshine has like a shotgun spray, like it's just everywhere. So Ratchet and Clank does that, and Deathloop does the same thing, where the quote was, let's see, someone said, Deathloop being a first-person shooter, we do a lot of things that make the weapons feel differently from one another. One I like is blocking the triggers when your weapon jams to give the player an immediate feedback even before the animation plays out, which prompts a player in a physical way to unjam their gun. So developers are already thinking of really creative ways to use these features, and I'm really excited because that tells me that they're going to be more creative with it. Because when the PS4 started with the touchpad, like infamous Second Son used it a lot, no one else used it. I do not remember any game that used it to the fullest extent besides just swiping up to look at something.
I remember Rayman Legends. It was for the scratch tickets. You would after each level you get a scratch ticket, and you just rub your finger on the touchpad and it open the ticket, and you got prizes.
That's cute. That's cute.
But
I like that.
But it's a cute feature, right?
Yeah, it's not like a game changing thing.
No. What was nice for Ghost of Tsushima though was that you could swipe it to 4 different directions.
And click it to use a function.
Right. But I mean, like, even then, though, there's a whole bunch of different hotkeys that could be positioned for that stuff where you wouldn't need to do it. But I mean, it's like a nice little detail. It's like, if I want to stop and play the flute, I just swipe left. And
yeah, it feels modern is a way to put it. Like it's not revolutionary because we've all grown accustomed to it. My question is, what will the third-party controllers be like? Because I work at a store that sells a lot of third-party PS4 controllers, and the touchpad isn't a touchpad; it's just a button. Yeah. So I don't know what it's like to play Ghost of Tsushima without the touchpad.
Yeah, exactly. I got a feeling that like they're gonna have to. There's definitely gonna have to be something they're gonna have to figure out, because the thing is, it feels like the tech that's going into the PlayStation is gonna be very pricey. And I just, I kind of want to compare, like, I want to look at the Xbox Series X controller, where it looks very much basically identical to the one series, with a new button and the D-pad's different. And you know what? That's fine. If it ain't broken, don't change it. I mean, PlayStation use that motto for all their controllers from mid PlayStation 1 all the way up to the PlayStation 3. It was the exact...
And then for the PS4, they just stretched it.
Yeah, they stretched it out of the touchpad. You know, the DualSense is the first major change, or the biggest change that I've seen in PlayStation in terms of controller form factor in years, right? So, and I'm not knocking Xbox because, like I said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I still think the 360 controller was better than the One controller.
Me too. I mean, a perfect example, look at Nintendo. Like, every console has a different controller.
Right, exactly.
Besides, you could argue the Wii U still use the Wii remotes, but they had the touchpad, or the gamepad.
Yeah, Wii U is a special case for everything. There's a lot of special cases for the Wii U. It's kind of its own category, its own Frankenstein. What did we do? What happened? Category. But the thing is that what I'm concerned about, and I don't want to go too far into this because we talked about this before, in terms of pricing, is that how much these controllers are going to cost, because it sounds like there's a lot more tech in the PlayStation 5 controller than the Xbox, because even Jeff Keighley, I remember Jeff Keighley, he did he played Astrobot, right, which is a free demo that comes with every single PlayStation, and it was showing all the different uses that you can use for, and all the different little gimmicks that the controller has, right? So it has the haptic feedback. He was explaining how Astrobot was running through the sand. He could feel the sand granules on his hands.
That's so weird.
Like he's like, he's like, when you're how when you're walking through sand, you feel that slight resistance. He goes, I'm feeling that in my hands, right? There is at one point where it actually can register if you blow into the microphone. As a microphone, if you blow into it, this fan spins. So there's that.
My favorite thing is when people are going to scream in it instead of blowing it.
Yeah. Ah! So here, let's get this fan going. Ah! So anyway, but there's little stuff like that. But the thing is that every single little gimmick that you add to this controller, the cost of that controller goes up, right? So
yeah.
So there's
actually. So sorry, go on. I actually saw something, but I want to hear what you're about to say.
So what I'm saying is that we got the prices of the controllers, and the thing is that at one point PlayStation was undercutting Xbox on everything. I remember in Canada, I'm not sure if it was the same in the States, but I remember in Canada they released the controllers for $69.99 for Xbox, and PlayStation came up with like $64.99.
Got him.
Yeah, exactly. It was $5 cheaper, right? And for everything they could undercut, they could. I don't think PlayStation can do that in terms of the controllers at this point, right? I don't think that they can.
So it's funny you say that, because quick news, because I want to move on to the next topic, but I have actually seen some listings personally for some PS5, the PS5 and the accessories. And when I say personally, meaning I've gone to the page and scrolled up and down and clicked everything. So I've seen a listing on Amazon America that was taken down, and I was able to look at that. And then I saw one on Amazon France, and then I saw a collection of stuff on another website that listed all of it. And from what I saw, the DualSense, this could have been a placeholder, but it said $64.99.
Really?
Yes, the PS5 base was $4.99, and the digital was $3.99.
That's big. That is big.
Yes, that's really big. But again, placeholder. Now, I also think Fortnite may have inadvertently given away the exact release date for the next generation consoles, because the new Joker pack that came out, they specified that it's going to be on all consoles, including PS5 and Xbox One, on November 17th.
Yeah, I've heard that. Too. Oh, another thing that I heard too is that, did you hear that Monster may have given away the price for the Series X?
No, I did not.
So this is what happened. So when and this actually will tie into a piece of main news that we talk about later. So what happened was that Monster Energy is doing a giveaway where it was you had a chance, there was a few bundles to win an Xbox Series X with Halo Infinite. Now, that was before Halo Infinite had gotten, infinitely delayed. So, what happened was that in the rules, whenever you do a giveaway, you have to give the value of the total giveaway. That's in the fine print. You have to do that. That is just by law, right? So what somebody did was, I believe it was like 3 bundles or something like that. It might have been 5. I can't remember the amount of bundles. But then what they did was that they then removed the cost of a full price game, which was Halo Infinite, and then times that by so $69.99 $59.99 times the number of bundles, and whatever that number was, they took that off from the total, and then they divided the amount of bundles by that number, and it came to $5.99 American.
Ooh,
So,
yes.
So here's what's going on is that you have, at the moment, from what I've been hearing, and from actually just confirmed too, I was just reading before we did WumpaTime, there was another European site that posted the price of the PlayStation 5, and they have it set to 4.99 euros. Now, euros is currently almost on par with the American dollar.
Yep, that's what I saw. Yeah, that's exactly what I saw.
And there's $4.99 again. So again, it's looking like the PlayStation 5 is going to be $500. That's been the price that we've been hearing over and over and over again. And the price that we also have been hearing is the digital edition, like you said, is going to be $399, so $400, so $100 cheaper, right? Now,
Yes.
if this is true, the Series X is $599, $600. That is huge.
Yeah, and Sony having the $499 for the PS5. That I think Xbox is ultimately, because our news a little bit later on, Xbox has royally screwed themselves over.
Yeah,
and I
definitely.
think they had it in the bag, and then it just all fell apart. So
Yeah.
before we get into that, real quick, let's go over our last bit of quick news.
Sorry, there's so much to talk about.
So much to, oh my god, I missed this. But essentially, last bit of quick news: Sega has come out and because of a certain Steam port, Atlas has noted that Persona 4 Golden, which was put on Steam just randomly, they just dropped, hey, shadow drop, Persona 4 Golden is on Steam, which was a fantastic game that I love to death. I've beaten 4 times, and it was stuck on the Vita. That was the problem. This was the main, like, you bought a Vita to play this game, even back in the day. So they put it on Steam, and within less than a month on Steam alone, it sold 500,000 copies.
That's really good.
Just like within less than a month. And Atlas had no idea that this was going to happen. So they posted on Twitter saying, hey guys, thank you for letting us hit 500,000 players on PC. And concurrently, the game has been hitting 3,000 players. Like, ever since it came out, just all at once. No, I'm sorry, 30,000.
Yeah.
30,000 people have been playing the game ever since it came out, after 500K have been sold. So, Sega saw this, because Sega owns Atlas, and Sega said that they are, quote, aggressively going to focus on PC ports after Persona 4 Golden, which is big because in 2014, 15, I believe, I honestly can't remember, Sega ported Sonic Lost World to Steam randomly, just out of nowhere. And this was a big deal because this was a Wii U exclusive. And it was stuck as a Wii U exclusive, so it didn't sell that well. So they put it on Steam, and it sold because it's a Sonic game. And they said, oh, hey, we're going to be focusing more on putting other Sonic games onto Steam. Okay, cool. They never did. It was just Lost World. So with Persona 4 Golden showing Sega that there is a market for, on PC for Sega IPs, that hopefully this is showing that we'll get other Atlas stuff, like maybe Shin Megami Tenseis, more Personas, and for Sega, we get all the more Yakuzas and more Sonic, because there are a lot of Sonic PC games that are stuck with being disc only, and they don't work on modern modern PCs because Windows 10 isn't fully backwards compatible with like Windows 32-bit stuff. It just doesn't mesh well. So
You're also
hopefully we.
sorry. I was gonna say you might also see some like fan favorites like Knights. You know, that was one that was
So I think Knights is actually on Steam already.
Is it already? Well, hot dang, I'm off.
Yeah, let me see. Knights into Dreams. Yeah, it's currently on. Oh, is this the Wii game or is this the Dreamcast game? This is the Dreamcast game. Okay. Yes. Okay. By the time this podcast comes out, it is currently on sale for $1.19 on Steam.
Well, there you go. So,
but we don't have stuff like Jet Set Radio. We don't have stuff like, I don't think Panzer Dragoon's on here. Any of the Sonic games from the PS2/GameCube era, they had PC ports, but you can't get them anymore.
yeah, no, that's it. Now we were just talking about this right before WumpaTime started. I don't like the word aggressively focusing on PC ports. I don't like the word aggressively. Does that mean that the reason why when you think aggressive, you think hard, which is great, but fast, and hitting ports hard to go on PC. I'm all for that. I'm all for hard work, but when you hit fast, I don't like that. Perfect example, which I was just streaming, was the Horizon Zero Dawn PC port. There's so many wrong things about it, and I'm a massive Horizon Zero Dawn fan. It's like in my top 5 top PlayStation games of all time. I love Horizon Zero Dawn, and it gets hate from some people, and you know what? I don't care. I love it to death. It's one of my favorite games, to each their own, but the PC port is just garbage right now, and I am so disappointed.
Well, the Sonic Lost World was also like Sonic Lost World had nowhere near the amount of problems that Horizon Zero Dawn has on PC, but it was a very bare bones port. All they did was they took out the multiplayer, and for graphics options for PC, you can change the resolution and then disable shadows. That's about it. It's super bare bones. You just play the game and that's it. Like even the mod support for that game is so small because no one really cared because it was Sonic Lost World, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I hope to see Sega bring more stuff to the PC because there is an audience obviously, and they are clamoring for some Sega content.
Sonic Unleashed PC, please, dear God. Please. So let's get into a little bit of our main news. First off, let's get up close and personal, just me and you. So, Papa Squat, what have you been playing lately?
Oh gosh, so I obsessed over Ghost of Tsushima.
Okay.
I very much enjoyed it. Had a blast with it. I dorked out on Ghost. I was looking up a whole bunch of different stuff about it. And just a fun fact, that game is only like around 30 gigs, right?
Yeah. Dude, the compression on that game is so like god tier.
Yeah.
It's smaller than Spyro initially was, right?
Yeah, it's smaller than Spyro initially was. It's easily a game that could have been 70 gigabytes, no problem. Fill up the 50 gigs on a disc and then throw on a 20 gigabyte patch on to boot. But no, it was 30, and the fast travel loaded insanely quick. Like, is the fastest fast travel I've ever seen ever. On my PlayStation 4 Pro, I was able to travel from one end to the island to the other fast travel in 2.2 seconds. Like,
oh, that's close. That's close to Spider-Man on PS5.
Yeah,
backwards compatible.
Yeah, and I was like, man, how are they doing this? So Ghost was a lot of fun. Right now, the two other games I've really been playing is Fall Guys.
Yeah.
Fall Guys has been a blast. I got another win today, which I was very happy about. And Fall Guys was a blast. And I've also been playing Paper Mario Origami King, which has become my shock title because I didn't expect to like it.
Oh, really?
Well, I pre-ordered it, and I will say a lot of my friends, what happened was I pre-ordered it a while back, kind of when it was announced, and then they did that demo, that like not a public demo, but like the interview, and I became hesitant. I went from being excited to hesitant. A few of my friends actually canceled the pre-order, and then I picked it up, and honestly, I'm happy I didn't. It's really charming. It's really cute. I like it. I like it a lot.
That's good. I've been wanting to play it because my fiance, I bought it for her, and she's really liking it too. Mm-hmm. I too picked up Ghost, but not right away because my first thought was like, oh, I'm really busy. I'm doing like 4 different things at once. I'll wait and pick it up later when I have time. But the people just kept talking about it. I was like, okay, fine, I'll pick it up. So I grabbed Ghost and I was playing it, and I was having a really good time, but I don't know. For some reason, it's not pulling me back into it like it's doing for everyone else. Mm-hmm. Like I'll pick it up sometimes and I'll play it and I'll be like, yeah, this is fun. But I just end up playing other things. I think my biggest complaint with it is that the combat felt the only word I can use to describe it was janky.
Okay.
It didn't feel as smooth as I thought I wanted it to be, but I got used to it, but that's still in the back of my mind. But Ghost of Tsushima, I can agree, amazing game, very well crafted, very well optimized, one of the best optimized games on the PlayStation, and this was the perfect goodbye from Sony to the PS4, because this is the last PS4 exclusive from Sony. So this was the goodbye song to that the swan song to that generation. So this generation is done with for Sony.
Yep.
But other than that, I didn't get too far into Ghosts, so I still need to catch up. But spur of the moment, I didn't think I would like this as much as I did. I ended up like almost completing the game fully, but I picked up the Destroy All Humans remake.
Oh, did you?
dude, it is so much better than SpongeBob. Like, oh my god. I can clearly see where THQ put their resources. Destroy All Humans remake is like the perfect remake because the original game, very janky, super PS2.
Yeah.
This game, like, it gives it the modern treatment where they use the same levels, they use the old audio, just kind of cool, like remastered. They did with SpongeBob, but on Destroy All Humans the audio is kind of compressed, so they did some audio magic to make it sound a little bit better.
Right.
So it's all the same. It just looks modern. All the cutscenes are motion captured, and it looks good. The gameplay is very tight. They changed a lot of controls to make it feel more natural and modern. It's very, very good. That was my first time experiencing the game, actually. I never grew up with the original game. But I picked it up on my Xbox because I was like, man, I haven't turned on my Xbox since I bought it. I need a game for my Xbox. So I bought it, I played it, I beat it all the way through. I beat it in 3 days, and I was going back and doing all the challenges, and I was having a lot of fun. So, unexpectedly, if you haven't played that game, please pick it up because it's really good. THQ obviously prioritized their IP over Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
But let's see. Other than that, I've also been playing Fall Guys. I streamed yesterday as well, and I got 3 wins. And then my luck went out. And I guess besides games, I've been customizing Game Boys a lot.
Yeah, I've been seeing that. I've been seeing that. You've been posting, you've been sending me DMs of the Game Boys being put together. It's really cool. Unfortunately, like for me, for the move has been my focus, so I haven't been able to play as many games as I'd like. So it's kind of been frustrating because I want to get back to my library and my ever increasing size backlog. Like for some reason,
same.
I went and decided to buy the BioShock collection because it was on for $20 Canadian. And
I end up doing that too. I keep buying games like, oh, I can't wait to play this, and I'm just like, oh, but I have all these other ones.
I have all these other ones. I'm in this perpetual wave of all, but I have all these other ones. But I'm super excited for the next generation because I think what I'm going to do is that when the pre-orders open, I'm going to try to be able to, with the support, but with the support of the YouTube channel, I'm going to try to be able to get. I want to do like an unboxing live stream where we unbox both consoles and just
that'd be cool,
and just go at it and be like, all right, let's play some games, and that, because man. There's very few times in your life where you can sit down and open up a brand new console day one. There's a there is an experience to that. There's where you don't even like, especially when you get like the day it launches, the day the console launches, and you open up the box and you see the console. There is a feeling of mystery of like, this is the box I'm going to be hopefully playing on for the next 7 years.
Dude, I'm thinking the same thing.
And I can't wait. I remember there's not many consoles where I can turn around. So I got that one day one.
I was just thinking. So the only console I've been able to do that to was the Switch. I was there in the line at Best Buy. I was number 32 in my city to get it. And I went home and I did a video on it. It was super fun. But this is the first console, I've been extremely excited about that I remember. I'm like fully aware of what's going on. Because for the PS3, I didn't remember. I was in school. I remember getting it for Christmas and being like, oh, cool. And then the PS4, I really wanted, but all I remember is that it came out. I don't remember any hype. I don't remember any big press events. I just remember, oh, there's a new Uncharted. It looks really good, and I want the PS4. It looks super cool. But the PS5 is the first one where I'm actively just staring for more info, waiting for that pre-order date. Because, I'm an adult now, so I can go and just pre-order it like right then and there. Back then I was like, hey mom, can we go pre-order it? And she's like, no. I was like, okay, cool. But they're like, no. PS5, I'm going to be out there. I'm going to be out there in that line putting whatever I can down to get it. Cause I don't know how long it's going to be until I get another one.
Yeah. I can't wait. I'm super excited. I got a quick funny story and then we'll move on to the next, to the main news. So I remember getting my Switch. I got my Switch day one as well. And I remember, and I was dying laughing because the Switch was announced. And I remember on the heels of the Wii U being announced, people were still hesitant to go pre-order the Switch.
Yes,
So
I remember.
I remember it was 3 days after the pre-orders opened. And I was sitting there and I was talking to my wife. We were just newlyweds at the time. And I was like, do you want to get a Nintendo Switch? And she was like, I don't know. It's kind of expensive. I said, well, we can just put $50 down on it and then pay for it later. And she's like, okay. So I was like, well, we better check and call and see if there's any available. So I called all the EB games in my area and they were all sold out. But then there was one, they said, oh yeah, we have a couple left. We have like 3 or 4 orders open. So I was like, oh, sweet. So my wife and I, we hop in the car and this was before we had kids. So, I mean, we could do that, we just run to the car and go. So
Yeah.
we hop in the car, we zip down and I walk in. I'm like, I like to pre-order a Switch. They said, yep. And I gave them my card and everything. Now, this is where it was funny, was that I walked away. I was like, yes, we got a pre-order on the Switch. I went to go look at the Funkos. The person behind me walked up and said, hey, I'd like to pre-order a Switch, please. And they said, yeah, sorry, we just sold our last one.
Oh no!
They're like, what? I literally just beeline out the store. I'm like, nope, I'm out.
Yeah. All right, babe, we gotta go.
Yeah, I was like, I'm out. Bye, because I didn't want to tolerate their deal. They said, yeah, we literally just sold it, and I'm just like, I'm out.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say that they said, yeah, we sold it to that guy.
Yeah, well, the guy said we literally just sold it, and I was the person in front of her, so. I was just,
Oopsies.
yeah, I kind of was just like, bye. Nope, not dealing with that. But according to from what you were saying earlier, Xbox might go free online. Can you talk about that? Because that's pretty intense.
Yeah. So this is weird. So I'm not sure if you noticed, but I noticed because this is something that I sell in the store and people are kind of upset about it. But regarding Xbox Live, Microsoft has discontinued the year-long Xbox Live membership. So you can only purchase 1 month or 3 months. So usually if you wanted a year, it would just be $60 for a year or I believe $10 for a month. Right. So they axe the year. And if you want Xbox Live for a year, you have to pay $120.
Which is ridiculous.
Which is stupid. But then Xbox merged Xbox Live and Game Pass together. So if you have Xbox Live, you have Game Pass. If you have Game Pass, you have Xbox Live. They made it an all-in-one thing, which is a super good consumer-friendly thing. I think Xbox did an A+ job on that. But it seems that Microsoft might be going in a different direction in terms of online, because recently they announced that Halo Infinite's multiplayer would be free to play, and they didn't specify that you needed Xbox Live to play it. They said free to play, like Fortnite would. So
right.
we have that, and we have Xbox discontinuing a big part of their Xbox Live and then merging it with Game Pass, which is arguably the better seller than Xbox Live. So you're merging these two services together to make one big super service, essentially,
right,
to give you a bunch of games and online. So it seems, from what I've seen, that Microsoft might be going in a different direction for online. And if they do go free, then it'll be kind of ironic, because when the 360 launched, you had to pay for Xbox Live, but the PS3 was like, nah, it's free. And then PS4, Xbox One, they're both paid for. Next generation, potentially, Xbox goes free, but PS5 has to be paid for. So it looks like they're kind of pulling a reverse.
I kind of have to disagree. I disagree.
Oh, really?
Yes. Here's why. In my point of view. So it feels like that they are pushing that, not that they're going to be going free, like free, just because Halo Infinite is going free to play. I feel like Halo Infinite going free to play allows more predatory things to pop up. So when you have the
like the microtransactions.
Yeah, microtransactions. Because the thing is that if the multiplayer, because what is the lifeblood of Halo? It's
the multiplayer.
The multiplayer, right? I mean, like, Halo has a fun little campaign. It's fun. It's great. Halo Reach's campaign was great, and you have a good time. But the majority of your hours is being spent in multiplayer, and they're turning around and saying, "Yeah, that part is free." free to play.
Yeah. Is it? I wonder if it's going to be like two different priorities. Like what are they prioritizing more?
Yeah, and my biggest complaint is that when you have a free, now of course I could be wrong, but when you have a free to play multiplayer game and you want to make money, because the thing is that if it doesn't make sense, because there's going to be people saying, well, I'm not going to spend the $50 or the $69 or $59.99 to purchase the campaign when I can just pay for the multiplayer and get it for free.
Yeah.
Is that it seems like that a Halo Infinite multiplayer, they're going to nickel and dime you to death, and then they're going to run battle passes. But if you buy the game, you get all the battle passes, or you get like the first 3 battle passes free or whatever, right? And I don't like that idea. I disagree. I don't like that. And the other thing about Game Pass, which I do enjoy Game Pass, it has great value. But the problem becomes when they are dictating your library of the games that you get to play. So
yeah, because you don't own them. Like they can be taken off at any point.
Exactly. And if you didn't even if you downloaded them, now that was the thing, is that I'm okay with them removing games off of Game Pass if you can still play them after they've been removed. Right?
Yeah, like it's like when a game gets removed from digital store and you still have it on your download list. As long as the servers are still up, you can still download it.
Absolutely, yeah. That's incredibly. I'm okay with that. So, like for example, I downloaded this is firsthand experience, Battle Block Theater. And that was my wife's favorite 360 game. So I downloaded that for her, and she was playing it. She loved it, had a great time, etc., etc. So a few months later, my wife wanted to pick it up again. So she went to go play it, and she couldn't. And we're like, why can't she play Battle Block Theater, even though we downloaded it? And it was gone. We were like, okay, I'll just go re-download it. It's probably some error on the Xbox's end, whatever. I'll just go re-download it from Game Pass, and it was gone. And so I sat there and I was like, so wait, even though we downloaded the game and we have a save file, we can't play it.
Nope. They dictate all of that, and that sounds like fun.
And I don't like that. Or for example, if you look at so I thought, okay, well maybe it's just for like small games. No. Last time I opened up my Xbox and was playing, it was probably about almost a month ago. I downloaded Totally Accurate Battle Simulator and got a good laugh out of that with Zoe. But we were playing, and there was a tab that says leaving the store, leaving Game Pass soon. And I'm like, all right, well, let me go see what's there. You know what was one of the games that they were taking off Game Pass? Devil May Cry 5.
Really?
Yes.
That's kind of a big one.
That is a big one. That's a huge game to take off your Game Pass. And I'm like, why would you take off DMC? That makes no sense whatsoever. But again, it comes down to the idea of like, you don't own your library. And yeah, sure, you're paying for this service, and which is a great valuable service, but you have no control. You have none.
See, that's exactly the point I made in my most recent video when I was talking about the Sony's online only shooter for the PS3 called Mag, where I point out that that's the problem with this upcoming digital age, that it doesn't matter what you do. If it's digital, you do not own it. You are literally renting the license until it gets delisted. That is all digital distribution is. You're just renting, you're buying the privilege of playing it until they take that privilege away.
Yeah, exactly.
So all those copies of Mag that you have physically are deemed useless now, because even though you bought that, it's still dictated by the online health.
Exactly. And that's where I don't trust Game Pass. And though I pay for Game Pass. I pay it for every month, and I enjoy it. It's great. It allows me to try games that I never played before. But my problem is once again, once Xbox turns and deems that the game is not valuable to be able to be played on Game Pass anymore, it just gets deleted and it's gone, and I can't get it back. Right? I would have to go and buy the game. And what's the point of buying the game when the whole point of Game Pass was I have access to this library? So what I think that they're doing is just to rewind it back a little bit before we move on to our final subject, is that I don't like the fact that they remove the 1-year subscription. I don't like that at all, because if
No,
you
yeah, me
want
neither.
if you want a 1-year subscription, you have to pay for 6 months, and it equates to something like what, like $100 a year or something like that. And
Yeah, like over 100, like 120, I believe.
yeah, and what they're trying to push is they're trying to push the Game Pass, which is $15 per month. If I remember correctly, it's $15 per month, and you get gold and the Game Pass. And they're trying to say, hey, look at the value you get from over here. It's like, that's great, but now you're spending $180 a year, which is now even more than the Game Pass itself. So they're almost, I feel like they're artificially bloating that up.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I don't know. It just bugs me so much.
yeah, I don't like it at all. And it makes me mad because, again, we can't, when we rely on Game Pass, and this is the problem with Stadia too. This is the exact issue with Stadia, is that, but Stadia has the same problem, and then throw on internet issues and bandwidth problems. And so that it's got a slew of issues, but the main issue is that with Game Pass, you don't own any of those games. You don't hold on to any of it. Now, if they were able to make it where if you downloaded the game and went to get the game downloaded, and then they took it off Game Pass, but you can still play it because you downloaded it, I'd be okay with it. I'd be fine. I'd be, okay, fine. Fair. That's fair. That makes sense. But no, once it's off Game Pass, you can't play it at all. You could, but the thing is, they require you to download the whole game. So you could literally, like for example, hypothetically, you could download 3 50-gigabyte games, and then say like, okay, I'll download these, and then you forget. You're like, oh yeah, you forgot you downloaded them. You don't open up your Xbox for a month. You come back, you're like, oh yeah, I downloaded these games. 2 of those games might be gone, and you just had 100 gigs sitting on your hard drive doing nothing.
Yep.
So Xbox Game Pass, good value, but to me, not the ultimate. And this goes to the PlayStation Now as well. It's the exact same.
Yeah.
Exact same thing.
The exact same thing, but Game Pass is a lot more consumer friendly. It's a lot easier because it's not streaming. It is downloading the game, but you can stream it if you want.
Yeah.
But speaking of oopsie, Xbox again. Halo Infinite is now no longer being an Xbox Series X launch title, which is a big problem.
Yes.
So first off, they did what they need to. They should have delayed. They did the right thing in delaying it, because when they showed off the gameplay, people were not happy. It looked like this is a game
Craig
representing.
Was birthed from?
Bro, I love Craig. Me and Craig can hang out any day. But the problem with the Series X, I'm sorry, the Halo Infinite, is that it's being touted as a Series X game when it's also on the Xbox One. And when we saw gameplay, we thought, wow, this is an Xbox One game. Like this looks like a launch title. There was so much pop-in. There were so many problems with like the geometry in the background. Nothing looked finished. It looked pre-alpha, and I think they said that the build they showed was alpha, which is bad because if your game is launching in like what 2-3 months, you need to be out of alpha. You should have been out of alpha like a year ago. But they delayed it to next year, which is the good thing. They made the right call. So Xbox, along with what we just discussed with the Xbox Live fiasco, it's not looking so good because
what's their launch lineup?
Thank you. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Like,
what are they launching with?
But not to interrupt, but it just you can answer the question by asking
Fortnite.
There you go. You got it. And I don't want this to become like the Xbox crap show because.
No.
But I do have to ask, what do you have for a launch title that's brand new? And
I think Forza, and that's about it.
Yeah, Forza. Well,
yep.
What the whole point is that Halo sells. And I do believe Xbox was banking on Halo being the...
Yes.
Banking on Halo. And you know what? I don't blame them. Halo single-handedly saved the original Xbox. It was the main reason why you bought an original Xbox was Halo
100%.
Halo 1 and 2. That was it. So I understand Microsoft putting all their eggs on Halo, but that fell through. And the thing is that this isn't Bungie we're talking about. We're talking about 343, which already there's a slew of videos if you go out there. There's one specifically that's really interesting if you guys want to check out by Review Tech USA, where basically he goes through and he looks at the someone leaked the internal job. Whenever you work at these massive companies, you'll sometimes get a piece of paper that's like, hey, what do you think about working here? Do you like the working conditions? Do you like this? Do you like that? It's something that HR puts out. And essentially a bunch of those got sent online. Now, I don't know if they were necessarily leaked. I don't know if it was a, like they leaked it or if it was a whatever public. But basically 343 internally from what we've been reading is in shambles.
Oh, yeah. And honestly, I can see it because the PR around Halo Infinite after that gameplay showcase was just all over the place. Like people are being really aggressive. People are being very apologetic. People were making excuses. It was not pretty. And I think the main problem with the Series X at this point is that Microsoft keeps claiming that it's the most powerful console for the next generation, and they're showing us the specs, and yes, arguably, compared to the PS5 specs, it is technically powerful, but there is nothing to showcase that power. Spider-Man Miles alone looks amazing.
Yeah.
Ratchet shows the power of the SSD. Yeah. Spider-Man shows the power of the GPU and the processing. Dude, I think we talked about this before, but no, we haven't talked about this before. Can we just talk about the fact that Insomniac said that Spider-Man Miles on the PS5, the performance mode is going to be 4K 60?
Yeah, performance mode.
What is quality mode going to be?
I don't even know.
8K 30?
Like
12K?
Like, where are we going? Like, if performance mode is 4K 60, that's all I wanted. I'm like, if we can get 4K 60.
Yeah, that's all I need.
I mean, heck, I would have been happy, honestly, with 2K 1080, with 2K 60. I would have been okay with that because we barely hit 60 frames at all on any titles on this generation. So, I would have been happy.
I agree.
I would have been happy with 2K60 if said, oh yeah, it's 2K60, whatever, it's fine.
Plus Sony has been straightforward with, hey, all your PS4 games will work, but the top 100 are going to get PS5 patches to make them run better. Okay, cool. So Spider-Man might be running at 60 4K. Last of Us 2 might be running at 4K 60.
Right.
Okay, cool. Xbox just says if you buy it on the Series X, you get it on the Xbox One. If you get it on the Xbox One, you get the Series X. But there's no... They've showed that certain games will work, but they haven't gone in depth about it.
Yeah.
Besides showing us the side by side with Gears, I think.
Yeah, Gears was the big one that they used the comparison. Yeah.
Gears was the good comparison, and they stated that backwards compatible games like for the 360 and the Xbox original will also be boosted from the Series X, but we don't know in what way besides loading times.
Yeah. So I remember Phil Spencer, it was Phil Spencer, or I can't remember, where they came for this, said, yeah, the Xbox Series X is going to have the most extensive library ever with 4,000 games out of the box, like right when you open it that you can play. But they were including everything from the only games that you can't play for the Xbox Series X, which I don't think anybody's missing, is the Kinect games. Other than that, it can play... But it can play every single game. And that's great. And I'm very happy to hear about that sense of backwards compatibility all the way back to even the 360, which is that's definitely a feather in the cap of Xbox, and I gotta give them props for that. But rewinding back to what you were saying about the PR stuff, it, like you were saying, I think the best way to describe it is that not everybody was on the same page. I remember though the big one was when it was an interview between the YouTuber, is she a YouTuber or Twitch streamer? I can't remember. Elena Pierce.
We could just put content creator. That goes for both.
Yeah. Elena, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, but there was a question that her chat was spamming, and she asked it reluctantly, but she did. She asked, she was interviewing one of the heads over at Xbox, and there people were saying that the footage for Halo Infinite was not looking good. It was looking rough. And what I don't understand is like, oh, I thought it was great. We're right on schedule. Everything is great.
I love it.
I love it. I think it was fantastic. And then literally less than a week and a half later, they delay it. And what I feel like that there's a lot of internal conflict right now. But now here's the thing is that Xbox had a chance to make a big splash. And they almost did.
Yeah.
But right now they have fallen down. Now here's the thing. One more thing before we get going, because this is something that I feel like people need to remember. So far, the only game that we have seen extensive power of, the only console that we've seen in terms of potential power that we have seen thus far was the PlayStation 5 demo of the next Unreal Engine, that tech demo.
Yep.
That tech demo was mind blowing.
Yeah. It looked hyper realistic, and it was very uncanny because I mentally cannot process that is a playable demo.
A playable demo. Now, I remember we were talking about Senua's Sacrifice, and we were talking about the graphics from that. And I was like, well, it's really good. That was until we realized, and this is something that we didn't realize until later on. And not that I take back what I said about Senua's Sacrifice, I'm sure, or Senua's the Hellblade 2 in general. The problem was that it was captured in engine, not in game.
Yeah.
Now, we learned very quickly there's a huge difference between saying in-game and captured in engine. Completely different. When it says captured in engine, it means the cinematic was created within the same engine that the game was made on.
Yeah, not like back in the day where you had developers doing the game in their engine, and then you'd have some company overseas or something doing the CGI cutscenes or something. Like they would make it in Blender while your game engine is Unity, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is that we're seeing the Unreal Engine being used for literally anything now, right? It could be used for animations. It could be used. And the thing is that they are doing this is captured in engine, and they're showing like this is how powerful our engine can push graphics. And that's great. That's amazing. And it's great that the engine can push that. But the question becomes is like this. Can you fit an entire loaf of bread in a toaster? That toaster is your console. Can you fit it? How much? Right? You have a giant loaf of bread. You do. You have a gigantic loaf of bread, and there's so much bread, it's disgusting, and everyone's so happy. How much can you fit in the toaster?
Don't worry about it.
I think that's a fairly accurate representation of understanding captured in engine, and can the engine perform that graphically? Yes, it can.
Yes. You're seeing it.
Yeah, you're seeing it. It's amazing. You can see all the bread. The bread is amazing. Jam that into the toaster.
I think my problem with Xbox at this point is that as of now, the big argument over the PS5 is that it has backwards compatibility, which again, yes, it's a big thing, but what's the point if Xbox's new systems are just like they're solely being looked at as backwards compatible machines? Like, I don't see it as the next generation console. I think of it as a better way to play old games.
Oh man, I can't wait to pay $600 on games I've already played on.
I can't wait to drop $600 and then spend $2 for Halo 4.
Like, man, like, okay, great. You can play, it's backwards compatible. Great. Backwards compatibility is a great feature.
Yes.
Feature. Just like air conditioning is a great feature to my car. Okay? But I need...
I would rather have full backwards compatibility over partial, because when I had my first Xbox One, yes, this is my second. When I had my first one, I kept it because it plays 360 games and some of them play better. Oh, that's cool. And then I looked at my current 360 library. Like right now, even with my One X, I looked at my 360 library and I was like, wow, a huge majority of games that I played that I have copies of on the 360 and the original Xbox, I think 2% of my library plays on the Xbox One. Like
really?
all the Spider-Man games I have, the Spyro, the Crash Bandicoot, all these other games that on 360 that I want to play on downstairs on my Xbox One, I can't because they're making the bigger games like all the Assassin's Creeds and Call of Duties and Halos. Those are all backwards compatible.
All the AAAs, the really big.
Yeah, all the AAAs,
games.
And only like 2 Sonic games. I think 3 Sonic games are backwards compatible via disc, and only one of them gets a 1X upgrade, and that's Generations, which it looks great, but when you have the ability to make all these other games look better and play definitively on the new console, why not take that opportunity?
Yeah, there's
the Series X is just going to be a backwards compatible machine, dude. Well, I don't care.
Launch,
my 360 can play those games.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the problem is that I need you to turn to me and sell me why I need to buy a Series X. Now, will it play the third-party games better than PlayStation? Yes. According to the stats that we've been seeing, yes, it will play third-party games better because it's got more power. But
who's going to get the more like exclusive treatment for third-party games?
Well, already, look, we already have a rumor. There was a rumor I was reading over on, I believe the channel's name was MBG, I think it is. I can't remember what they were called. But that Sony basically approached every single third-party publisher they could and said, hey, what can we get that's exclusive? And the biggest one... The biggest one being recently with Square... and them approaching the team working on the most recent Avengers game and saying, hey, Spider-Man exclusive on the Sony, which that's a whole can of worms that we could talk all about WumpaTime about. Crash Bandicoot, they got exclusive skins. They have all these different things, and PlayStation is pushing for that exclusivity because that's what they know that will help edge out their numbers, is having content that others don't. Like, for example, the Batman Arkham Asylum things with the Joker mode. That was huge, right?
Yeah, and this feels weird because I talked about this in my video too, my most recent one. All of what we're talking about now with exclusivity, because Sony did the same thing with the PS3. They would approach. They don't do this for the PS4 really anymore because you just get the exclusive stuff. But during the PS3, when the PS3 was struggling, they would come to third parties and say, hey, what can we get for an exclusive on the PS3? So they would have, like you said, Batman Arkham Asylum and like Assassin's Creed 3. If you got like a small bonus mission, Sony could put the only on PlayStation label on the box to make it look like, oh, I need to get it on the PS3 because all of this exclusive stuff. Every Batman game, every single Arkham game that came out, you would get exclusive stuff on the PlayStation console.
Yeah. And
the Joker skin, the Adam West suit, like only on PlayStation. You got like the bonus missions for Arkham City and Arkham Origins, all this stuff only on PlayStation.
So, yeah, this is something that PlayStation knows and they understand, and there are people who are whining and complaining about it, and I can understand why, but the thing is that PlayStation knows what sells. So my question is what, it comes down to this statement again, is what could you sell me on Halo, or what can you sell me on the Xbox Series X other than the two things that it will play third-party games better and it's got backwards compatibility, right? With all the way to the Xbox 360. Well, PlayStation will have backwards compatibility as well for the PlayStation 4. It has backwards compatibility, just not all the way to the PlayStation 3, 2, and 1, right? So basically the benefit of the Xbox Series X will be to be able to play Xbox games, which can we even consider the original Xbox a generation, because that was one of the shortest generations I've ever seen. Right.
It just kind of came out. It was like the PS4 Pro. It was just like a mid-generation upgrade.
Yeah, exactly. It just showed up and then they went right to the 360. So you could turn and say, hey, the 360 era you can play additionally. So you can play one additional era of games on the Xbox One, or Xbox Series X. Man,
Series
these naming protocols, gosh. Okay.
Yeah, these names are stupid.
They're so bad. Okay. So you got that, and then you got playing third parties better. what else can you sell me on the Series X in terms of the games that are going to be coming out for it?
I think if they came out and said that they had full backwards compatibility with all 360 and original Xbox, that would have been a massive game changer already with their backwards compatibility stand. But the fact that the Xbox One and the Series X can only play less than half of the 360 library is not really that impressive.
Yeah.
It's like have you seen the PS2 section on the PS4 store? And how sad and pathetic it is.
Yeah,
that's what that
awful.
feels like. Yeah, it's bad, and the quote unquote enhancements are really like slapped together. Oh, it's widescreen. Really? You sure? Because it feels like it's
Jack
not.
and Daxter.
Jack and Daxter, and I even got the original Destroy All Humans 1 and 2 because they were on sale for like $2 for PlayStation Plus members, and it has the same exact widescreen thing that Jack and Daxter does, where it just zooms in.
Yeah, it's pretty rough, and
yeah, dude, me and you we're just both disappointed.
We're disappointed because I want the Xbox to succeed. Gosh dang it, I want
Me
it
too,
to
yes.
succeed because I want it has a library, and I'm happy to see they're bringing back Fable. Great, it got the Elder Scrolls treatment where we saw a wide shot, where it's a wide shot. Fable,
and it's like
release
Fable,
date.
that's
The release date is whenever we say it is, and
it just feels like, dude, it feels like every time Microsoft takes 2 steps forward to greatness, they take 30 steps backwards.
We need that launch lineup. We need it. Halo could have held it. It could have held the line. Now you don't have Halo. You need something else. And
dude, like what if
and then
what if
did
Microsoft
you remember that Microsoft showing that they did that was trying to compete with PlayStation's PlayStation 5 event? And it was
and no one watched it.
Well, it was meh. It was meh. It was I was like, it's like a C plus C.
Yeah,
right?
it was like, oh, you copied their homework.
Well, like it was fine. It was fine. It wasn't great. It wasn't bad. It was just fine.
It was just there.
It was there. It was good. But the thing was that the stuff that they were showing also wasn't exclusive to Xbox. They were showing stuff like, for example, PlayStation was showing off like, yeah, here's Kenna, Bridge of Spirits. Guess what? It's coming to PlayStation 5 and PC. But in terms of console-wise, yeah, it's a console exclusive. Right?
Anything? Yeah.
Right. Well, like they're showing off the medium. They're like, oh, yeah, that it's being advertised. Okay, is it exclusive to Xbox? No, it's coming to PlayStation 5 as well. Then what are you doing? What are you doing? The state of play. Yeah, the state of play is where they were showing off like third-party stuff where it was coming to multiple consoles. And yeah, that's cool. And they were showing off exclusive information, blah, 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 blah. That's right. But PlayStation had a PlayStation 5 event where it's like everything you see here is PlayStation 5. Insomniac's, Miles Morales, Ratchet and Clank, right? And you can say these games that are coming that are exclusive. And when I turn to Xbox, all I can say off the top of my head is Forza, Gears, Fable. That's it.
Well, the thing is, like, you don't even the biggest argument is that you don't even need an Xbox to play these games.
No, you don't.
Like you can stream it to your PC, even if you have a bad PC. You can stream it through Game Pass.
Yeah.
And like there are certain games that I thought were exclusive that aren't, like Lucky's Tale and Cuphead. That's on every console now.
Yeah. Cuphead. Yeah, Cuphead.
Ori and the Blind Forest is on PC and Switch. So what's an exclusive anymore?
Well, here is my final argument before I sign off. And this is the argument that, if anyone is in the comment section arguing about this right now, first off, but kudos to you for sticking with us this long.
Love you.
There is one thing I've been hearing over and over again from the Xbox side of things, and I have one counter argument. But it's more of a question than anything. People are saying that Xbox doesn't care about you having to buy its consoles. They just want you to buy its games. That's it. They want you to buy Ori and the Blind Forest. They want you to play their games on PC. They want you to play their games. They don't care if you buy an Xbox or not. They want you to just play their games. Okay.
Then why even bother?
Yes. This is the question that I come to is, if that is your motif, if that is what you're pushing for, why don't you just release a $300 stream box
Exactly. Why don't you just do what Sega did and get out of the console market and become a third party? You're already a third party essentially,
Yes.
but you can just make a service.
Yeah, step aside and be like, we have our Xbox service, right? We have our Xbox service. You can play on PC. And then if you want a box to play on, here's a little box that we got for you. It's $300. It's cheaper than everything else, but you don't own your games. It's Game Pass, blah, 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 blah. Because here's the thing. Every single console that you sell first time for the first 3 years, you're losing money.
Yep, you're losing a lot of money.
You're losing a lot of money. To give you an idea, remember the price of the PlayStation 3? You remember how stupid that was?
Yeah, and Xbox was like, hey, guess what? We're not that.
Yeah, PlayStation was still at a loss of $230 per unit.
Yeah, at that ridiculous. Yeah, at that ridiculous price point.
At a ridiculous price point. It was ridiculous, the PlayStation 3 at launch. It was like $550 or something like that. $549, I think was the price. That is gross. That's disgusting. Yeah. And adjusted for inflation, it turns like $700-800. That is disgusting, right? And they were losing $271 per unit. $271. So that means.
And then they didn't they lower the price, so they were losing more money.
Well, they ripped more stuff out of it because there was like an SF card reader, the backwards compatibility. So they were ripping features out so that they could save money, so that they didn't operate at an additional loss. Now, Xbox is coming in and they're saying, yeah, we don't care if you buy our console or not. You're taking an operating at a loss, which we said earlier, the giveaway gave away an idea of how long or how much this console is going to be. It's going to be close to $600, which translates to, 3, 6, 9, 12, 150, 180. That translates to almost $800 Canadian before the 13% tax, which would push that to about $900, and that's just the console. And then to buy a game, it's like $92 after tax. So if you were to buy an Xbox Series X in one game, if the price is $600, it's $1,000 for a console and a game, right? And guess what? Microsoft is operating at a loss at that point. They're still operating at a loss. So why bother?
I can't justify it.
That doesn't make sense. The argument of they don't care, they just want you to buy their games, then why bother with the box? We already got confirmation from that leak that there's an Xbox Series S coming out, which is the slimmed down version of the Series X. Why don't you just launch that? Just launch that.
Yeah.
And then say, okay, you can turn around and say, hey, listen, and I can understand you might need a transition year to transition from being console makers to third party. You turn around and you say, hey, listen, here's the Series S. It can stream the games at 4K if you got good enough internet, but if not, you can still play the games physically, but it's 1080p 60, right? Or it's 1080p 60 if you want to play it on the hardware of the console, and if you want to stream it, you can stream it at 4K, but it depends on your internet. And then you put Game Pass on there. You say, hey, if you buy a console, you get Game Pass for 6 months for free, right? So you do that. You get Game Pass for 6 months for free. Then you lowball PlayStation. You say, hey, PlayStation is sitting at $3.99 for their digital, and they're sitting at $4.99 for their with the disc. You put it at $2.99. You set it at $2.99. You give people the Game Pass for 6 months. You give them the slimmed down version, and then you say, you pull what Google Stadia is doing, which is like streaming to 4K. You can stream the games through 4K through your little box, or if you want to play with the hard copy discs on hand, you could pop it in, and you got 1080p 60. You don't have 4K, whatever. And then this be your final console year. You tip your hat and say, we had a great time. We're going to switch to game development, and we're just going to become a third-party studio, and now it's Nintendo versus PlayStation. Have at it. Done.
Why can you just be their marketing? Like, please.
Am I wrong with this? If that's the argument that you're standing on, if that's the argument is, but the thing is that for you to turn around and say that, oh, they don't care if you buy their console, yet they turn around and they're charging $600 for their box.
Yeah.
And it's more expensive than the PlayStation. What are you doing? And then they discontinued the Series X, the One X. Like, oh, don't even get me started on that. How do you see the PlayStation discontinuing the Pro?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
But we're discontinuing I understand them discontinuing the Xbox SAD, the all digital.
Yeah. Because no one bought that.
Yeah, no one bought it.
The people who did buy that forget that they can't do that. Because I've had people come in here and they buy games and they come back and they're like, oh, I forgot. I bought the digital version. I'm like, wow, cool. You did that to yourself. Also, no refunds.
Yeah, exactly. Oof. Good job, bud. But yeah, exactly. I can understand them discontinuing the SAD. Fine. I get it. That makes sense. But this One X, that people are also saying, oh, it's because they don't want people to get confused between the Series X and the One X. I'm like, then why are you what's your marketing?
They're already confused.
If you're taking a product off the line, because what I think they should have done, which would have been infinitely smarter, is discontinue the base and drop the price of the One X.
Yeah.
Done.
Honestly.
Now what you're doing...
Well, at that point, I wonder if they consider that competing with themselves, because it's like the Xbox One X, like on the box, it'll say the world's most powerful console.
Right.
And then you have the Series X, which is like the world's actual most powerful console. It's like, oh, well... Which one's the most powerful?
Well, yeah, exactly. Or you could just like rebrand it. Like when you make the new line of stuff, just remove that tagline when you have the Series X come out, right? But the thing is that if you turn around, you're like, okay, we're going to discontinue the One S and we're going to discontinue all lines. We're just going to have the One X, but then we're going to drop the price of the One X down to the standard price of a Xbox One S. And what you're going to do is that you're going to get a bunch of people that own a bunch of One S's saying, you know what? I really want to try the One X. I've heard a lot about it. I'm going to go try it. And then they go and they rebuy the same stupid console that they already bought because they want to see what the One X does because now it's more affordable. But no, they discontinue the One X. What I don't get that. And then what the problem is, that's artificially increasing the price of that console. So now...
Yep.
So now what's going to happen is that people are saying, yeah, I own a One X. It was only available for 4 to 5 years they were producing, and then they stopped it. It just I
think what we can say to wrap up is the biggest enemy to Xbox is themselves. Yeah. They are doing this themselves. They are making I sell video games. I've been selling them for years, and I know the demographic, and the demographic is extremely confused. Xbox, you're doing this to yourself. Fix it. God, we want to give you something. Every other episode, we try to give you a little thing to be like, hey, look, they're doing something good, and then it just falls down again. So,
yeah. With
that said, thank you all for sticking with us.
Yes.
And thank you for tuning into this new episode of WumpaTime. We are back. We're back in our hypothetical studio. Let us know what you thought of all the topics and everything in the comments. We're on everything with audio: YouTube, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, SoundCloud. Tell us where you listen to us: on the road, in the house, in the attic, whatever.
My parents won't let me listen to WumpaTime, so I listen to it in the basement.
I gotta get the news. So yeah, thank you guys. You can follow us on Twitter at ShipOfficial for me, at Canadian Guy A double H on Twitter for him. And like I mentioned before, I do have a new video talking about PlayStation exclusives. If you guys want to check that out,
great video.
Anything you want to plug?
Carrier pigeons. We're still waiting. We
were
gone for a month and we didn't see one carrier pigeon.
And also, at the time of this podcast, Canadian Guy A's channel is very, very close to 60,000 subscribers.
Yes.
So, how many people do we need? Like 40?
Less
40
now.
people?
Hold on, I'll tell you the exact number. 1 second. We need...
Yeah, at this very moment.
At this very moment.
1:20 a.m.
At this very moment right now, we need 28.
28 subscribers. Come on, guys. We can do this. Come on. Yeah. Like when you listen to this and we're at 60K, be sure to add us and be like, hey, I got you there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So other than that, I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye.